Connect with the Artist Series, Original Founding Fathers.
I was attracted to oil painting. Really, it was not my first love. My first love was drawing, and the discipline of trying to create light and shadow with just black and white, gray tones, middle tones, and what attracted me to oils was basically in when I was in art school. I had a phenomenal professor. His name was Mr. Elmore. Mr. Elmore was kind of like the drill sergeant of the art school. Um, you craved his affirmation, and he didn't give out many. He was tough, but when he gave you a compliment, you could take it to heart, and you could frame it and put it on your wall, and always look at that compliment and feel good about it. So he was an oil painter. He taught me my technique. My technique is a technique that is loosely connected with the early Italian Renaissance artists. Um, and those artists to this day are some of my very favorites. Caravaggio is one of those artists. If you ever see his painting of Christ showing his wounded side to Thomas, and Thomas is sticking his finger, and it's kind of chiaroscuro, so it has this really dramatic light and shadow, but it's hyper realistic at the same time and very moody. And so that technique involves many different I call them oil washes, or layers of very translucent oil built one on top of the other. In some areas, rubbing paint away. In some areas, trying to diffuse the light and create subtlety of color and gradation with that. So for me, it was a progression, and I'm thankful, and I think every artist probably will tell you the same thing. Their first love is pencil drawing. And when I was in art school, that was the debate. Once again, you cannot be a good painter until you're an excellent craftsman with your pencil. So I still like to draw. I love to draw, actually. In fact, it's funny when I tell people, I work at my gallery, several days a week, and I tell people the only time I'm not working is when I'm painting, and I mean that, because when I'm painting, I call that time untime. It's time where it's not affected with stress and frenzy, with brain chatter, with putting out fires or anything. It is a cocoon of enjoyment and wonder, and that's what I enjoy. The original seed that grew into the painting original Founding Fathers, I can loosely connect it with an interview I heard on NPR, and there, how NPR has those great vignettes of personal stories, and kind of expanding the interest of and going into more detail about things. Anyway, they were talking about the Founding Fathers, and they were talking about Roosevelt and Lincoln, and they went on in some kind of direction, but I just remember being kept in that space of scratching my head, like, why, at the time I was in my 20s, I think, or early 30s, why do we so easily accept that term and Founding Fathers, and why has nobody connected that to the worthy recipients of that name, that moniker, and that's kind of what was the impetus behind original Founding Fathers. I think that what a painting does, it voices your deepest desires and protests. It voices your deepest curiosities as well. The thing that drives me as an artist now in my life, I'm 47 years old, I realize that there's something immortal, if I can use that such a grandiose term, about the arts, whether it's a poem by Maya Angelou, whether it's a lyric written by Jim Morrison, or Paul Simon or Peter Gabriel. a painting done by Salvador Dali. Okay, these images, these poems, these writings, all this live beyond the artist, and there is this sense of feeling that that what I'm painting, since I'm tapping into history in a deeper way, that it's humbling because my paintings will outlive me, and hopefully one day my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and great great grandchildren can look upon my paintings and read the stories, and feel moved. Um, and not, I mean, we all have to go through the stage of rage when we feel like we've been taught something and it's not accurate. Um, but that's never the final resting place. Art, I think, brings you through the therapy of the anguish and the unrest of injustice, but it also motivates you to spend your energy and your creativity and your lifelong pursuits to better the cause and to live a life of love. So, as an artist, I live in not a very unique situation, but I live in a world of tensions, as we all do. I'm a working artist. I'm also married. Been married for almost 20 years. I have 4 wonderful children. I have a gallery that requires a lot of my energy and time, and all those things are wonderful tensions and blessings. And I don't know if you can just dissect one from the other. I guess there's a you have to hold all things loosely and in love. I mean, there's a lyric that I just heard the other day by Peter Gabriel, and it said, "I must move to be stable." And that's counterintuitive, but in order to get all the energy for all the things that I love in this life, I must keep on going forward. In a perfect world, I would, I don't know if I had it, I'd actually want it, but I'd just paint all the time. But I think the thing about art is almost like it's like gardening. You do all you can do in one day. Maybe that's till the earth. Maybe that's put fertilizer down and pull weeds, and then you got to leave it alone. You got to wait patiently for that stalk, that tomato plant to root and that kind of thing, and to come, and then you care for it in the next stage. And I think art is that way too. At least to me, art is it's a process. It's a slow, organic process. And who's to say that I don't need all these distractions in order to build the energy to put down every time creating my art. So yeah, how do I balance it all? I'd say a couple things. One is to start the day with a prayer. Another great part is laughter. Another great part is not taking any one thing too seriously, because if artists don't do anything, they take themselves very, very seriously. They're perfectionists, and that becomes their demise. Even if the world bows at their feet and they're like, "You are the greatest artist," if they are addicted to perfectionism, they will never be happy with their art. So my journey in life is to be satisfied in the growth of all things. I think arriving is not realistic. The sense of arriving at a place, or I think that's unrealistic. I think more so is to practice contentment in the now and the moment, and be patient as the epiphanies and the ideas come. And do not shame yourself for moments of blankness, or moments of where you feel like you have an artist block, because that is a rite of passage. To get to the light, you have to go through the dark. So one thing I think, as far as about pursuing art as a career, when you're a young artist and you're in art school, so many passionate feelings are flowing through the deepest, you know, undercurrents of your psyche, and you can't contain it all, and everything, it feels so visceral. Um, my advice would be to nurture that and realize that feelings are a very important part of the artist's life, but do not be afraid when the feelings don't come, and do not be afraid of thinking that you're going to sell out because you're trying to make a living with your art. Um, you know, there's right brain, left brain. Left brain is the is the wide world of artists of all types and all sizes. The right brain is the linear mind, and that connects all the A plus B equals C, the accounting, the branding, all the things about trying to how to transcend as an artist. And sometime in every artist's life, if they're going to make a living with their art, needs to be at peace and welcome the right brain to the left brain and the left brain to the right brain. I joke with customers that come to my gallery all the time. I said, I'm an artist and I travel a lot. I travel from the right brain to the left brain and back and forth. And I say that between the two brains is a rickety drawbridge. And, every time I cross, I don't know if that bridge is going to hold me or not. And I'm going to plummet into the moat below, and that dragon's going to gobble me up. And touching on that is, let fear be your friend as an artist. Art is not safe. Life is not safe. But creating art that touches, that is pulled from your deepest center, is not safe. Um, there's 1,000 critics. Some people are going to stroke you. Other people are going to, speak negatively about your art. In a sense, you have to have tough skin, but to balance that out, you need to be around a circle of people that get you, that understand who you are and who you're growing into. It's a cliche, but I like to say it sometimes. We are not human beings as much as we are human becomings.
If you're interested in purchasing a gift created by David, you could go online to davidbehrensgallery.com, where you'll find a wide selection of items featuring David's artwork, including mugs, prints, t-shirts, and more. If you find yourself in Albuquerque, head to the historic Old Town area to be transported back in time. The authentic original buildings and local cuisine provide a perfect backdrop for a collection of David's artwork and the unique, hand-picked artwork of local craftsmen. You can find the gallery at 326 San Felipe Street, Northwest 87104. Thank you.